Hello and welcome to Treasury Notes, a show dedicated to the latest news and information from the office of West Virginia State Treasurer John Perdue. I'm your host, Gina Joins. Treasurer Perdue is a strong advocate for financial education in West Virginia. In fact, he's made it a point to offer free financial literacy programs to people of all ages. Coming up on today's show, an update on NetWorth, the program Treasurer Perdue developed to teach money management skills in West Virginia schools. We'll talk to a middle school principal about one component of the program. He says it's taking root in his school and continues to grow. Another unique financial literacy opportunity is using some really cool activities to both entertain and teach children. The traveling exhibit Moneyville is up and running at the Youth Museum of Southern West Virginia in Beckley. The museum partnered with the Treasurer's Office, the West Virginia Financial Education Foundation, and others to bring this national exhibit here to our state. It's already a big hit with students. Kim Ward has more on the exhibit's opening celebration.
Treasurer Perdue is excited to welcome the Moneyville exhibit to Southern West Virginia.
1, 2, 3. All right, okay.
Another tool to promote financial literacy to our state is right in line with the Treasurer's mission.
They brought this idea to us, be honest about it, and we really fell in love with it. We found out what it was all about. It's been in a lot of other states, and we wanted to bring it to West Virginia, and they wanted to be part of that partnership.
The Moneyville exhibit has traveled around the country teaching a variety of financial concepts.
They seem to like the making change booth where they can act like they're a cashier and produce the change.
I kind of liked the kids market, and I like the lemonade stand and the bank part.
The exhibit features interactive displays that appeal to everyone.
Really gives us an opportunity to teach kids from all ages, whether it's preschool all the way through high school, the value of money and saving money, how to spend money, and how to share money.
Even though I'm 15, I still enjoy it.
Moneyville is a great way to introduce the basic concepts of money to young children.
I like it. I've seen a lot of things that can teach really useful information, some things that we don't even think to teach our own children.
For older children, it provides a lesson that is often lost on today's youth.
Nowadays, they think you go to the ATM machine, it automatically just gives you money.
Students have fun making their way through Moneyville, but that doesn't mean the financial lessons are lost on them. They know at the end of the day, it's all about managing money.
So they can spend it better.
I learned that if you earn a lot of money, but then don't earn any more money, you'd only go for like a few years. But if you start and you just keep saving your money, you can do it for as long as you want.
One feature unique to the Moneyville exhibit here at the Youth Museum is the addition of the West Virginia Treasurer's Vault, which features an activity where kids decide which items they would spend money on.
Shoes. You spend money to buy shoes.
Which items they would have to save money for.
A bicycle. What would you do if save for a bicycle?
And which items they would share with others.
What would you do with a present? You want to share a present. That's a good idea. You'll share your presents, okay? And we try to teach them the value of those three things: saving, spending, and sharing.
After an exciting grand opening, parents and kids agree. The Moneyville exhibit is a great place to visit.
They seem to love it.
Reporting for Treasury Notes, I'm Kim Ward.
So much fun. The Moneyville exhibit will be at the Youth Museum of Southern West Virginia in Raleigh County through September 6th. Individual visits and group tours are available, and for more information, you can just call the Youth Museum at 304-252-3730. Moneyville isn't the only place where children can get some hands-on financial education. The Treasurer's Get a Life budget simulation is designed for middle school students, but it gives them an eye-opening glimpse into adult life. Schools around the state now routinely host the program as a financial learning activity, but one school in Kanawha County helped kick off the program 5 years ago. Elkview Middle School Principal Rick Messenger is here with me today to talk more about the Get a Life simulation. Principal Messenger, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Gina, appreciate it.
Of course, back in 2009, I think it was, Elkview was the first school to host this simulation or game, if you will, and it was a huge success. I was there back in 2009, and it was a lot of fun to go through the Get a Life game. For people who don't know about how it works, why don't you give us a little bit of an explanation?
Gina, it's a great program. Just kind of to backtrack a little bit with it, when we were first approached about the program, we looked at it, and you know, in a school system, we're always looking at what can we do to help the students, but sometimes you get overload. And so what we had to do was say, well, let's look at this program and see if we can fit it into a curriculum, if we can take some value from this and bring some ideas that we have in the curriculum and put it in and make it something everybody feels a value, the teachers, the students, the community. So we did that. We sat down and we talked with the people who brought Get a Life to us, and we had our 8th grade teachers meet with those folks, talk about the program, and we said, hey, yeah, this is a simulation, but it's a great way to talk to kids about what happens when you get out of school. What happens if you leave high school and you go to work? What happens if you want to go on to college or you want some additional schooling? What do you have to do? Is it expensive? Where do you go to get it? And this game, Get a Life, allows you to do that. And we do it in a large setting. It takes a fair amount of space. We use our gymnasium, and we have a large school. So we have anywhere from 220, 250 students that participate in the activity when we do it. And we do it once a year, try to do it around November. But essentially what happens is we bring the students in and we talk to them about what's going to happen when you leave school. And the first school that we're going to think about you leaving is high school. And so what can you do? Can you get a job? Can you go on to school? What can you do? And the game is set up so that if you say, look, I'm just going to go get a job, then there are some options that are available to you. But the way the game is set up, those options are limited. And that's real life. You just don't have a lot of options sometimes if you're just going to jump right into the workforce without some additional schooling.
And you're talking about right out of high school.
Right out of it. You just say, and you know, we have a lot of kids that do that because, you know, when you're coming out of high school, $10,000 sounds like a lot, or $12,000. And so we say, okay, we bring them all together, we meet with them in a large group, and we say, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to talk about who you are. You're going to have an opportunity to get it. We assign them a card. And that card's going to have an occupation on there. And that occupation is for you right out of school, right out of high school. You're going to have every option available that this occupation allows you. And it talks about your family, your expenses, things that you're going to have to put out. And so these kids get these jobs. And we don't mean to, and I don't think the program does at all, demean any task or any job. The reality is jobs will only earn certain amounts of money depending on that job in many cases.
Well, that's a good point. These cards are fairly true
absolutely.
To what the income would be if they were in that certain job.
Absolutely. They're actually based on data from West Virginia back at, and I want to say around 2006, 9, somewhere in that period. I believe Fairmont State participated with the program, developing the program. So these data are accurate. Now they may have adjusted some by now, but they're very close. I think percentage-wise, we're about where we were then. So these folks get their card and they are allowed to move around after they see their income. And also on this card, there are certain purchases that have to be made. You have to have a house. You have to have a car. You have to pay utilities. And you have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, you know, they see this amount on top of the card, and maybe it's $25,000 or $30,000 for an occupation. And then they start taking away from that. And they actually have a ledger sheet that they take around with them, and we do provide calculators if they want to do that. But they have a ledger sheet, and they start around a series of tables where we have a realty company, we have banks, we have auto insurance, we have hospital medical care, grocery stores, and the kids go around and they purchase what they have to. And they have some disposable income, and depending on what they start with, it may not be much. And they tend to spend that. But they can go broke. And when they go broke, we hear some great tales, really great tales.
Sure you do.
Well, I can tell you one of the games we had, I'm I was in the gym and the kids are walking around and this young boy's coming by and he's upset, and he's really upset. And I said, hey, what's wrong with you? He said, my wife, she divorced me. I got 2 kids. I got to pay child support. I don't have any money. And that is, those situations are actually built into the game. And so when that happens and you go broke, you can go back to what we call the who am I table. And there's a director there, a person there who says, look, you got a mess. You're broke. You're bankrupt. But there are some avenues available to you. And you can make more money. But you're probably going to have to commit to some additional education, trade school, junior college, some kind of advanced education. And so the kids talk about that and they decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then they're given another card. Now that card has a salary that represents additional education. And so they see that there's a correlation between education and income and disposable income, things that they can do with that income. And you know, a lot of our guys, you know, we're kind of a rural setting. A lot of our guys would like to have a big 4-wheel drive truck.
Right.
And they go through with that first card and they're broke in no time. And they find out that they can improve their education, they can improve their earning power, and then they can have that 4-wheel drive truck. So it is very, very real. We say it's the 4th R: reading, writing, arithmetic, and relevancy. It's for real.
Yeah, it really is, and it, as you said, there are just so many stories that these children have. It's such a great activity, and I know, as I said, your school has been doing it for almost 5 years now.
Right.
I want to talk more about the Get a Life program and the importance of financial education in schools, but first, I would like to give our viewers a better picture of how this simulation works, because it is just such a great activity. Kim Moore joins us now to show us Get a Life at Elkview Middle School.
The Get a Life simulation may sound a lot like the popular board game called Life, but this version of the game is designed to teach students a very real lesson about the basics of creating and sticking to a budget without the real-world consequences.
It's going to be expensive when you start life all by yourself, when mommy and daddy's not going to be there to help you out.
These wise words come from an 8th grade student at Elkview Middle School in Kanawha County. She's learning what it's like to provide for a family on a limited budget.
Children need to learn at the youngest age possible what it means to be responsible and an adult and be able to take care of the basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter.
These students are learning that lesson through a budget simulation called Get a Life.
You get to buy a car and a house, but the groceries are pretty expensive if you have a lot of kids.
To play the game, students start with basic information, like the size of their family and a monthly income.
I have 2 kids and a wife, and my wife's laid off.
Students then have to purchase the basic necessities to fit their family's needs.
I have a family of 5, so I have 3 kids, a husband. So I had to get a car that could carry 5 people, a house with at least 3 bedrooms. And like the more people you have, the more expensive it is, and it just, you only have so much money you can have a month, so you're like, okay, gotta budget this.
Not to mention those unexpected expenses.
So you need to pay $365 to repair your car. Thank you for visiting the Green Reaper.
But even in a game, kids don't always make the best decisions.
Bankruptcy for them today is easy, but hopefully they'll learn from this that, oh my goodness, I need to be frugal. I need to, particularly starting out, and I need to get, I think one of the biggest lessons too is education is vitally important.
And I went bankrupt once, but now I got a good job, and it's pretty fun.
Dylan Farrell is talking about the second half of the simulation, where students get to trade in their basic profile for an upgrade where they've attended college or received additional training, which in turn means a higher paying job. Then they get to go through the game again and see how that changes their decisions.
They don't have to struggle as much with things that they know they really have to have, which they have not thought about, like insurance and groceries.
It helps you know that you need an education when you grow up, and that you need to have a good education so you can actually get your bills paid and your groceries.
Principal Rick Messenger believes this age is the perfect time to introduce students to basic finances and the idea of planning ahead for their education.
It's a transition time. They're starting to put together their 5-year plan. They're starting 8th grade to look at what they're going to do.
As for the students, they're learning and having fun.
It's fun, and it'd be nice for other schools to do it too.
Reporting for Treasury Notes, I'm Kim Ward.
Some great reactions from students going through the Get a Life game at Elkview Middle School. And again, I'm joined here by Principal Messenger of Elkview Middle School. We just saw the video of how the students were reacting, and it kind of walked us through the game. You were telling us earlier about some of these stories. The students, this really does make an impact on them when they get to do this activity.
Well, I think it does. And again, when we put the program together, we sat down. Actually, it was initially offered to us as a 7th grade program. And we sat down, we looked at it, and we said, you know, there's a lot of relevancy here, and there's some deep thought that's going to go into some of this. And maybe our 8th graders would be a better set. So we worked with our 8th grade teachers, put the program in place at 8th grade. But what our teachers said was, you know, we want to first of all prepare for this a little bit. We want to deal with some math skills. We want to talk about reality. We want to look at some of the social, economic issues that are going on. We'll do that through our regular curriculum. And then we'll kind of highlight this with the Get a Life program. And then our kids are going to see that, you know what, some of this learning over in the classroom really does apply when we get out here in life. And the situations are so real life. You heard the little guy talk about his wife lost a job, and you know, there are divorce situations that you can have on a card, and there are other really great situations. You have the Green Reaper, the lady who goes around, the person goes around and says, hey, this is an unexpected expense, here it is. And so the kids, I think, begin to feel like, you know what, I hear some of this at home, and we hear mom and dad talk, and we hear, you know, at family gatherings, we hear people talking about budget and money and trying to make things work. And so it's a real great way to connect the kids to everything that goes on in the family and in the economy around them. So we're real happy.
And you worked very closely with Treasurer Perdue's office to make this game a yearly event at your school.
It is. You know, when we first sat down and talked about it, yeah, I've been in education a while, and I got to be honest with you, I've seen miracle cures for a lot of different things, and sometimes they come and they go. And when we sat down and looked at this, we said, you know, we believe this. We think this is a good idea. We're not sure all that went into it at the Treasurer's office and at Fairmont and with economic groups, but whatever went into it was probably pretty good because we can use this. So if we do it, we're going to commit to it, and it's going to be something that's part of our program every year. And we do. I mean, it's there. The kids look forward to it. The teachers look forward to it. It's a great activity in November. We try to hit it around the start of our second 9-week period after the teachers have gotten to know the kids and the kids become relaxed with the school in the 8th grade, and then we move into the program. But it's a very good program, and we don't plan to ever back off the program. We may modify it some as we go along with some of the incomes and jobs and that kind of thing, but no, it's there to stay.
You talked about some of the reactions of the children who go through this simulation. What about the teachers? How do they react to this program, and how do they feel it works for them?
Gina, they're very positive, and I think part of that is we didn't bring the program in and say, you know, when we were approached as administration, here it is, you got to do it. We said to the Treasurer's folks, you know, this sounds like a really good idea, but if we're going to get max out of this, we need to run it by the teachers who are going to work with it and prepare for it and then debrief and follow up. And so that's what we did. And I think that provided ownership for the teachers. And once that was established and they saw the value, then it was not any problem at all to put it in place and keep it in place.
Why do you think it's important to offer these supplemental activities? I mean, you know, kids go to school, they're in the classroom most of the day, but schools like Elkview choose to do other activities to give them a little bit of a hands-on experience.
We do. It's hands-on, and you know, Gina, it's especially with middle school students. Why do I need to do algebra? Why do I need to write this paper? Why do I have to know about what happened in West Virginia or the Civil War or whatever? And so we're able to take those kinds of lessons and say, look, You learn from these things. You learn in social studies from the past. You learn in English how to express yourself. You learn in math that you may apply these skills somewhere else. And just the simple idea of balancing a ledger. And so we make a connection between the classroom and real life. And I think that's key to the program. And once the kids see that and students see that, we hope that it translates to more value in the classroom as well as getting value out of the Get a Life program.
Do you think it's important to start teaching these financial lessons early in life, middle school, maybe even earlier than that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're all out there in the same economy trying to make a go of it, and I think that you know, if I can tell you a story, I can remember as a boy I had a grandmother who was big on saving money, and she used to have a little dime bank, and you stick dimes in it, you know, and she would tell me about interest and what you could buy. And honestly, when I look at kids today, I think, you know, I don't know what kind of disposable income you're going to have. But if you're going to go to college, and if you're going to advance your education, if you're going to have job opportunities, you're going to have to think about budgeting your money. And there will be limits. And so you need to learn now about organization, decision making, and how these things are going to go together to help you have a better life as you go on.
Yeah, I think some of the students in the video we saw earlier talked about this, and I'm always amazed when I go to a Get a Life simulation. One of the things the students talk about is, I appreciate mom and dad more now, or I have a little bit of better understanding of what they go through, or I'm not going to ask for that extra whatever.
Right.
Do you find that you hear those stories more and more?
Yes, and during the game, it's great. I mean, I'll go in and walk around and I'll see, you know, the kids will be coming through, and I'll hear someone say, I don't care, he's not getting that. I don't care, he's not getting it. We don't have the money, he's not getting it. And so I'm thinking, I'll bet you've heard that at home, because I know my kids have.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that. I think they appreciate a little bit more about the value of money and decisions that moms and dads have to make.
And the community also gets involved
Absolutely.
with this activity. Let's talk about that a little bit. Community members help work the different stations. Why is it important to get them involved and have the children see some other outside people in the school?
Well, you know, Gina, not everybody has somebody in school. And so we have to reach out some to our community to let them know what we're doing. And I think we want our community to know the quality of kids that we have in the school, the fact that they're good kids and they like to learn and they like to participate and they're respectful. And I think they need to see that. And on the other hand, we need to have our kids actually dealing with people who are in those jobs. You know, there's a car dealership in the game, and we always try to find somebody local who's involved with car deals, because the kids will go up and they'll say, boy, you know, this car looks great, and those guys are salesmen at that desk.
Yes.
And they say, you know, that's a nice car, it's a really nice car. This car is a great car, and it's only another $50 a month or whatever. And so the kids understand and get to know what it's like on that end of the community, and then the community people that come in begin to appreciate that, you know, these kids some of them are really pretty sharp, because they look at that car deal and say, no, sorry, I'm staying with the other one. So it's a great connection, school to community. It's a wonderful connection.
And taking it outside the classroom, I just want to ask you about parents. Can they continue to reinforce these money management skills at home, and is that really part of the whole lesson?
You know, absolutely, you need to continue those skills. Now, probably one of the things that we'd like to do and develop the program a little bit more is looking at, after we have the actual event, how do we extend that and how do we get the parents involved at that level. But I think that as a parent, you definitely want to talk to your kids about budgeting money, budgeting time, decision making, and again, help make that connection between education and income.
And I do want to talk just a little bit more before we go about that connection. Higher education is a big component of this game. So just tell me a little bit more about when a kid goes back and they get that second card, how they're able to adjust their life in the game once they've had higher education.
Again, Gene, we don't. The game is not set up to lessen or demean any job or position, but it is designed to show you that, look, if you want to, and we tell kids this all the time, maybe you want to be a concrete finisher or a bricklayer, but if you're on the management end or the ownership end of that business, you can take those skills that you had, and those blue-collar kind of skills sometimes, and you can build on that to become somebody who really builds a business and makes a good living. But you need to know how to do that, and that's going to come through advanced education, trade schools, career technical programs, certainly 4-year, 2-year colleges. All of those kinds of pieces figure in to the better paying jobs. And so the kids look down and they say, hey, I've got more money and I've got these opportunities, but oh, look, I had to go to school. And before they even get that card, the person manning the Who Am I desk says, look, you got to make a commitment. If you want this money, you're going to have to make a commitment for some education. And we also talk about the cost of education at that point.
Yeah, this is just such a great simulation to go through. And the Treasurer's Office, I know, appreciates the fact that Elkview Middle School has made it your own, and you do it every year. But there are a lot of other schools around the state that continue to use this program, and they're doing similar things. So Principal Messenger, on behalf of the Treasurer's Office, I'd like to thank you for making sure this is a part of your curriculum now and all the schools that do these different types of programs. Thank you again for joining us today. We appreciate you elaborating on this just a little bit.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we want to talk about with Principal Messenger. We appreciate him being here, and the Treasurer, of course, appreciates all the educators like you who take the initiative to implement financial education and those activities in our school. Well, in addition to being the banker of state government, Treasurer Perdue, he does oversee several programs designed to help people achieve personal financial independence, and we'll highlight several of those programs coming up in our next show. Here's a preview of more.
Gina, when it comes to finances, there are many areas where people can use a little help and a little more education. Throughout his tenure, the Treasurer has offered everything from free personal finance seminars to programs that help folks prepare for the cost of higher education and retirement. He also works diligently with other state treasurers to try and bring financial education and savings programs to the forefront. Treasurer Perdue recently attended a conference for the National Association of State Treasurers. This training symposium offered Treasurer Perdue an opportunity to meet with industry leaders as well as other state treasurers to discuss and work together on state programs and initiatives like financial education and college savings plans. Treasurer Perdue is also recognizing some hardworking students and schools in West Virginia. He is visiting schools around the state to recognize the 15 regional winners from the 7th annual Smart 529 When I Grow Up essay contest. The schools these students attend also receive a prize presented by Treasurer Perdue.
Not only did Diesel win $500 for himself, he won $500 for his school.
Yay, Diesel!
And finally, the Treasurer's Office joins a national initiative to further promote saving for higher education for 529 Day. Each year on May 29th, events are held across the country to bring awareness to the growing need for a college savings account. We'll have more on our local 529 Day celebration, as well as these other stories on the next Treasury Notes.
And that's our time today. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always get the latest news and information from the Office of West Virginia State Treasurer John Perdue. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or you can check out our blog. You can go to wvtreasury.com. Keeping you informed on the Library Television Network, I'm Gina Joins with the Office of West Virginia State Treasurer John Perdue.